State podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Carter.
And I'm your host, Cody Van Ciello.
Cody, we are going to take a break from basketball today. And today I thought we would talk about Big 12 football totals. I know those came out, I Bleav, a few months ago.
Hmm.
And it's going to be interesting. So let's dive in. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to take a look at that.
For sure. And okay, well, I know you did want to take a break from basketball today, but just real quick, just the transfer portal has been crazy, and Iowa State has
Yes.
gotten their first commit out of the transfer portal. They got Eric Mulder from Purdue Fort Wayne. He previously, he's from Oskaloosa, so it's kind of nice to see him come back home. And from what I've seen his tape, so this is reading a tweet off from TJ Altenberger. The Oskaloosa, Iowa native averaged 8.4 points and 6.7 rebounds last year, and he was ranked the number one player in offensive efficiency. And Mulder is also an elite offensive rebounder with a high motor, so it looks like Mulder's going to be kind of like a Branton Chatfield type of player.
Yeah, that's what his comp was. So I think he'll be a great high energy guy for us. If we can find like a few other Brent Chatfields and find some shooters in the portal, I think
Yeah.
we'll be in great shape.
Yeah, and the portal will just opened. It's going to be very active, so there's just going to be a lot of things to be looking out for here in the next 48 hours or so. So it'll be a
Oh
crazy
yeah,
week.
it's gonna be a crazy week. We will update you guys on everything that's happening in the transfer portal. Obviously, we're gonna be doing other shows as well, but obviously we're gonna make sure that we are your go-to for everything transfer portal as well and basketball.
Hmm.
But yeah, let's look at these. We're on FanDuel right now. Um, so they have all the teams in the conference in the Big 12. So the way that I wanted to do this is I wanted to look at, I think, from basically what our first show concept was, is that we're basically going to look at all the contenders who we think is going to be at the top of the the conference. So you know what? Let's with that being said, let's look at Kansas State because Kansas State, or actually, let's look at Arizona State. Arizona State is the defending Big 12 champion.
Hmm.
So that now their over under is 8.5 wins. What are your thoughts on that?
Um, I can. s- I think this could be like maybe a little bit higher than I expected, but I can see why. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they are the defending Big 12 champion. They just went to the college football playoff and they took Texas to the wire. And they were one play away from beating Texas in the Peach Bowl and could have gone to the semifinal to go up against Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the job by Kenny Dillingham has been great. Arizona State really just came out of the blue last year and yeah, won the Big 12. So I see where this is coming. I think the big question that it did have for Arizona State would be like how much is Arizona State going to be impact with the absence of Cam Scatterbu.
That is my question. I know they have that running back from Army. And another good thing that they have is Jordan Tyson coming back. Their top receiver last year was a big part of their offense. I think he was the one that had like we had like 125 yards receiving and like three touchdowns against K State when
Hmm.
they went on the road and beat them in Manhattan.
Yeah,
I watch for him to be a big contributor in that offense. Also, um, lest we forget that the run obviously they got the running back from Army as well. So we'll see if Cam Scadaboo was the main reason or if they're just going to go and let's also see if Sam Levitt can take that next step. He had a solid year last year. I think they're probably going to rely on him to throw the ball even more. But we'll see.
for sure. So yeah, I think with, 8.5. I think this could be like attainable. I would have to look into their schedule a little more because
Sure.
I th- yeah, because let me see if I can pull up. Like, I'm gonna just pull this up on my phone.
Okay.
Let's see, football. Let's see. Yeah, it's a little difficult, but I mean, yeah. Let's see. All right, so their schedule. So this is Arizona State's schedule. Their first game is August 30th. They'll be taking on. They are going to host Northern Arizona, and
Mm-hmm.
then September 6th, they're going to be going to Starkville to take on the Mississippi State Bulldogs out of the SEC. Did these two play last season, if I'm not mistaken? And that was in
They
Tempe.
did. They played in Tempe. Yeah.
Okay, so all right, so this will be a home and home. Um, then they'll host Texas State. I Bleav that's another home and home game since they played last season as well.
Yep.
And then and then going to their conference schedule, so they'll be in Waco to take on Baylor.
Yep.
They're going to come back home and play a Friday night game against TCU. They'll be on a bye week, and then we'll travel to Salt Lake City to take on the Utah Utes. Following that game, they're going to return home to Tempe to take on Texas Tech, and then host Houston for a 2-game homestand before traveling to Ames, Iowa on November 1st to take on the Cyclones in a rematch of the Big 12 Championship. They'll follow that up with another bye week and then host West Virginia. And then their last 2 games, and also with like Utah, some old Pac-12 matchups.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona State will travel to Boulder to take on the Colorado Buffaloes, and then November 28th, that'll be Black Friday. They'll host Arizona for the duel in the desert.
Now, I look at this. I look at this 4 game stretch in October, or at least these 4 games before their off week. I mean, this the first part of their schedule is manageable, but I really do think that this 4 game stretch from October 11th to November 1st is really going to make or break Arizona State's season if they want to try to repeat as Big 12 champions. Because I think Utah will be a much better team. Tech, everybody is buying Texas Tech as they're the big spenders in NIL. We'll see how well they're doing, but they're going to be a favorite. Houston's going to be a lot better at home, so they can't sleep there. And Iowa State's going to be coming for blood after Iowa State getting trounced in the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah,
So I think this 4 game stretch right here is going to be crucial to their success.
yeah. I mean, you mentioned Iowa State getting trounced by Arizona State in the Big 12 championship. I mean, yeah, you got absolutely embarrassed on that day.
Yeah,
Like, you're in the perspective of Iowa State, and you get to host them in your stadium. That's a great opportunity for Iowa State to be like, it's time for us to return the favor, and no better way to return the favor than to embarrass Arizona State in front of a lively Jack Trice crowd who would love nothing more than to get that semblance of revenge. So that'd be great for that. That's going to be something to look out for Iowa State. So I'd circle that on your calendar as a game to go to.
definitely. Now let's look at BYU. BYU was one of the 4 teams that was tied in that 4-way tiebreaker for who went to the Big 12 championship. Their win total is at 7.5. So let's pull up their schedule and see what they're working with.
Yeah, I've got it up right now. So
Oh, gotcha.
yeah, I'll just have like the schedule on my phone. Like whatever we talk about, I can just search it up real fast. So it's just a little easier.
Okay.
But
Sweet.
so BYU schedule, they're gonna start their season with a game against Portland State in Provo. They'll follow that up with a home game against the Stanford Cardinal. And then after a bye week, they'll travel to East Carolina to take on the Pirates.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll start Big 12 play by traveling to Boulder, travel at Folsom Field to take on the Colorado Buffaloes. Then they'll follow that up with a Friday night game against, I'm presuming Friday night probably, against West Virginia. That'll be in Lavelle Edwards Stadium. So knowing the history of BYU when they play a football game in Lavelle Edwards Stadium at night, See how that
Mm-hmm.
goes. And then Saturday, October 11th, they'll travel to Tucson to take on the Arizona Wildcats. And then homecoming. Wow. This is quite the homecoming for BYU. They get the Holy War.
Wait, Holy War is homecoming?
Yes. BYU's
That's
homecoming.
insane.
Yes.
That is ballsy right there. Wow, that's interesting. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be definitely tuned in for that.
You know what? I like it.
I
I
like
like
it
it.
too.
I like the move. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun entertainment right there. I mean, the Holy War is just great television. You like a lot of times when I watch that football game, it's great. So following up the Holy War, BYU. This is gonna be their first visit to Ames, Iowa, all time, I Bleav.
Yeah.
You had to take on your Iowa State Cyclones, so that'll be October 25th. Then after that road trip, BYU will be on a bye week and will return to action to take on Texas Tech. This will be in Lubbock, Texas. And then their next home game will be against TCU. Follow that up with a trip to Cincinnati, take on the Bearcats, and then senior night will be against UCF.
Mm.
So I'm I'm looking at the stretch, the 3 game stretch. Obviously, that you get the Holy War, the
Mm-hmm.
road trip to Ames, and then the trip to Lubbock for BYU. That's the critical stretch for them.
Yeah. Um. Because you already know that Utah, like, because you already know all the drama from the from last season with Utah complaining about how they like
Mhm.
Utah has some anger because they feel that they got cheated out of last year's game in Salt Lake City. So
Yeah,
I think they're gonna be roaring and ready to go. Iowa State, for the longest time, Iowa State and BYU we thought was going to be the Big 12 championship game because at the time these two teams both started off undefeated, both at 7-0. BYU was able to stay undefeated longer, and then they faltered down the stretch. But um, I mean, BYU Iowa State. I mean, this could be depending on how Iowa State's season goes. Um, like this could possibly be a preview of what we could see in Arlington.
yeah,
But and with Tech, that could possibly be a matchup depending on where Tech is standing because Tech thinks that they're going to be a team that's going to be reckoned with, and it's put up or shut up for them. So I mean, this schedule that BYU has is very very favorable for them. I will say.
for sure. Yeah, because I mean, outside of the 3 game stretch we mentioned, it's very favorable. And I mean, even within the 3 game stretch, they get a bye week after traveling to Ames to recuperate before they have to travel to Lubbock. So that could be helpful for BYU to be in a better spot against Texas Tech.
Yeah. So let's. Do you have any other thoughts about BYU before we move on to the next team?
Uh, no, I think I'm ready to move on to the next team. I think it's very early in the season, so like very early. This is way preseason, so I think as we get closer, we'll be able to talk a little more about football. But just want to get our initial thoughts, really. So I'm ready
Yeah,
to go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. No, definitely. I think we're going since we've been talking about them the last few times. Let's move on to Texas Tech. Texas Tech they were big spenders in the transfer portal. I think they spent what like upwards to like double digit for
Yeah.
millions for the roster. Like,
hmm Yeah, because I think one of the big contributors had like sold like his company for like billions, if I'm not mistaken. Billions with a big B. It was like in the 4 billion range, if I'm correct.
jeez.
Yeah, that's one of the big donors. So yeah, Texas Tech is going to be swimming in money, and then obviously Patrick Mahomes is going to get you like a good paycheck.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
hmm So yeah, go ahead and pull up the win total for Texas Tech.
Oh, yes, yes. I'm sorry about that.
All right.
1 second. Okay. Now Texas Tech wins total is over under 8.5 wins.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty high.
Mm-hmm. Pretty high, and I think that's probably like looking at the schedule here. If there is a possibility, so Texas Tech, so their schedule lays out as this: they're going to start their regular season off with a game against Arkansas Pine Bluff at home, and then another home, and then follow that up with a home game against Kent State, and then actually wait, yeah, Texas Tech starts their season off with three straight home games. I mentioned Arkansas Pine Bluff, Kent State, and then their third straight home game will be against Oregon State.
Huh. Yeah, three layup games before you have a tough game on September 20th at Rice Eccles. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
that's
you
gonna
already hit
be
the fourth.
yeah.
I mentioned their fourth game. Yep, will be at Utah. Return home to take on Houston. Follow that up with a game against Kansas and Lubbock.
They host them for homecoming, and then so they have an off week on the 27th, and then they have to go to TDECU at
Yeah,
Houston,
mm-hmm.
and then they host the Jayhawks for homecoming.
Yep. Then after that, they'll travel to Tempe, Arizona to take on the Sun Devils.
Mm.
For sure. And then Oklahoma State will be the next will be the home game after that. Then November 1st, they'll be traveling to Manhattan, Kansas to take on the
Oh
Kansas State Wildcats.
my goodness, this schedule is brutal.
Hmm. For sure. After that, they'll host BYU as we mentioned earlier, so they're going to host BYU. Then Senior Day will be against UCF. They'll have a bye week, and then their last regular season game will be in Morgantown against West Virginia.
Yeah. Um. So I mean, their schedule is backloaded. Like
Mm-hmm.
you look at this, I say one, two, three. These six games from October 4th to November 8th. Like Houston's not gonna be a walk in the park. Like
For sure.
that's a pseudo rivalry. I think Kansas has a chance to be a trap game for them because if Arizona State is as good as we think, that could definitely be that could be a definite letdown look ahead. Be when they have to go to Tempe to face Arizona State, so
Mm-hmm.
they better be careful because Kansas could pick them off right before that week. Um, I gotta think that Oklahoma State will be a little bit better, and
I would
but
hope
even
so.
yeah, you would hope so. But then after that, you got to go to Bill Snyder Family Stadium and face K State. So
Yeah,
that, and then you got to, and then you host BYU at home. Like that is like, it is crucial that Tech starts off. Like you can't have Texas Tech. Like it's put up or shut up with them now.
yeah.
Like you
I
spent
think
all this. Oh, go
yeah. If
ahead.
you're Texas Tech, you want to start 6-0. Like
Yeah,
that's enough to be undefeated heading into the matchup against Arizona State Tempe.
I feel like you just gotta minimum you gotta have at least one loss because like people aren't gonna take like another 8-4 season, dude. Like with especially with the tens of millions of dollars that they spend in the transfer portal, like
Yep.
there's no excuses anymore.
Hmm. So yeah, I think just that back half is going to be crucial for a Texas Tech.
Yeah. Um. This is gonna be interesting. Obvious, and now we are going to look at our team, of course,
Yep.
and that would be the your Iowa State Cyclones, who last year won a school record 11 games, and it was a great season. Pop
For
Tarts
sure.
Bowl champions. So their over under is 7.5 wins. So I'm gonna go pull up their schedule.
Yep.
I know you have it on your phone. I just do it just so I can follow along.
That's fine. Yeah. And some moving parts are happening right now, so that's why my camera's off. Don't mind.
No, I got you. All right. So it's obvious that if you didn't know, Iowa State fans, if you didn't know, and you've been living under a rock, um, we're having Farmageddon, or as I like to say, Farm Ogeddon, um, in Dublin. Um, we are going to be the only game on TV that weekend, August
Yeah.
23rd, and it's against K State. So we're already starting hot right out the gate, man. I will be at this game. I will be in Ireland. So uh, if
Yep.
you college football sickles are out there, so come say hi to me. I'd love to have a Guinness with you. Um, but
Yeah.
this one's gonna be this
What a
one's
great
gonna be fun, man.
what a great opportunity for our boys to play internationally and for us to really be like the main like attraction for college ball here in week 0.
Yeah, I mean, and not to mention to start off the year with a conference win. Like you win this game, you already won in no one conference, and then you're not gonna play another conference game until September 27th, which would be the home game against Arizona. But we also
Mm-hmm.
have South Dakota, which could be a tricky game. Like it could be a tricky game if you lose this. If you lose against K State, then I already know that like everyone's going to be having a nervous breakdown, and then everybody's going to convince themselves that we're going to lose to South Dakota on the 30th. And I already foresee it if we lose week one.
Yeah, I mean that tends to happen. That's just kind of in our DNA. But I look at South Dakota. I think that it's still doable for Iowa State, even if we lose against Kansas State, because I think I think Kansas State will set the tone for the season. But I still think that we can win. Like playing a game at home, I think the crowd's just gonna be juiced up even then,
Oh
because I
yeah,
think it's the first home game. So I think even with all the other circumstances,
yeah. Even with all the circumstances, I still think that we'll be able to pull it out and be focused. And then a week later, we have Iowa coming to Jack Trice. The last time we
hmm
played Iowa at home, we lost 2013, but we won last year 20-19 in Kinnick. We just need to start creating a winning streak against Iowa.
yeah, I think that's just a separator, and obviously bringing it home, like it'd be just Iowa State hasn't won the style game in Jack Trice since like was it 20 like late.
It's been since what 20? It's been since 2011. That was my freshman year at Iowa
Mhm.
State. It's been a while, man. So
Yeah,
that triple overtime game classic.
yeah,
Yeah, I ran to the field. I have vivid memories of that game. But yeah,
mhm.
we need to get on the board and Jack Trice against Iowa. That'd be a great way, man. Started to. Can you imagine if we start off undefeated again, man? That'd be amazing. And then um, this could possibly be a sneaky game, um, like or definitely a game where you need to be focused before you go into the off week because I already know like by this time the person will be like, man, we gotta finally get a week off. It's playing 4 straight weeks. One thing I do like about the schedule about Iowa State's schedule, Cody, is that they have what like 2 or 3 bye weeks in this season.
Yep, yeah. They've got that extra bye week because they're traveling to Ireland to play week 0. So yeah, they are going to get 3 bye weeks. And I
Yes,
think I like the placement of like these bye weeks as well. Because the first bye week will be after the non-con is complete, so that would have been or yeah, that would have been after 4 games, which would have been Kansas State and Dublin, South Dakota, Iowa, and at Arkansas State for a home and home. So that's your
right.
first bye week, and then you you resume conference play, if you will, uh, against Arizona. So it'll be their first visit to Jack Trice Stadium.
Yeah, it'll be their first visit to Jack Trice. First time we play Arizona in football. I know,
hmm
and then we play 2 straight road games at Cincinnati and at Colorado. Now, for
hmm
me, the dilemma for me is I got to decide on which one of these games I want to go to because I have always wanted to go to Boulder, but Cincinnati is also within driving distance. So at that point, I also got to I'm gonna have to see by the where we're at. I'm not to see where we're at in the season and what our record is, and then I'll probably will decide then. But
Yeah,
man, that Colorado one looks so appealing, especially
it does.
with Caden Salter and I'm really excited to see what Coach Prime and Colorado looks like post Shadur and Travis Hunter.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm curious to see what they look like. So after the Colorado game, there'll be another bye week for Iowa State, and then homecoming for us will be against BYU.
Let's see now. This game, like these next two home games, have a chance to be very, very charged up. You have BYU on who we thought we were going to face, and then I mean, like you have a chance next week. I hope hopefully if my work schedule sets up, I would love to come to both of these games.
Hmm.
But I might be able to only just go to one. But I definitely want to Arizona State. That one is going to be emotionally charged after everything that happened last year, 45-19. Like I know Rocco, I Bleav in the offseason podcast says that this is the game. This is the game that he's looking forward to the most because
Yeah.
he's like, man, we got killed by them, so we want to return the favor.
Yeah, for sure. Um, After that, so after those two charged up home games, the Cyclones travel to Fort Worth to take on TCU. Then they'll get their last bye week next week, and then they'll have Senior Day against the Kansas Jayhawks, and then their end their regular season in Stillwater against Oklahoma State.
Yeah, Cody, we got to get on the board against KU. Like we've lost 3 years in a row to Kansas. We got to get on the board.
Hmm.
We've got to get on the board.
Yeah, at some point. I mean, here the funny thing is, like, we won like what 15 or however long. Like, we had a really long streak of winning against Kansas,
Mm-hmm.
even for when we were really bad. When even when we were bad, we looked at Kansas like, wow, they make
Yeah,
us look like world
and and
beaters.
and one thing I'm sort of like chalking it up to is that like some teams just have your number. Like for some reason, Kansas just has our number, and like I have no clue. I don't know why why we struggle with them. Um, but yeah,
I mean, that was very puzzling. I mean, the circumstances in which we've lost to them the 3 times in a row. Let's see. You had the 2022 year, which we know like what happened that year. Just couldn't make a field goal or kick to save our lives. Then you then had the Jalen Knoll out of bounds, but he actually wasn't out of bounds, which should have placed the ball at the 1 yard line or touchdown
so
for
pissed
Knoll.
about that game still.
Hmm. And then Arrowhead came. That was just when they started their
Oh,
hot streak. That's just when they caught heat.
they
That was
just
just
they bro. I was at 2023 in last year's game.
yep.
Like last year, they just blitzed us. No, actually, we had a great drive to start off,
Hmm.
7-0, and then they just blitzed us from that point on.
Hmm. I think that's just when like I think the injuries start like finally caught up to us on the
Yeah.
defensive end. We were out like I think we lost like somebody like literally like game time decision. Somebody was out and it just proved to be crucial. I Bleav it was Malik Verdon who we lost on a game time decision.
Oh yeah, yeah, and Tayshawn James was struggling.
Yeah, because he kind of got thrown in
Yeah, I was
to
like,
the
oh
role.
boy.
Just yeah, but I think this year for Iowa State chalked up to be another solid year.
Yeah. I know. Um, I don't know if you saw, but I know like Coach Mauser had his press conference yesterday, and he was saying that the best position right now, he said, is the running back room.
Hmm.
So I know like Carson Hansen and Abu Sam are going to be leading the running back room again. So I'm really excited to see how much of a step that Abu Sama takes.
Yeah,
And then
because I'm hoping that that last year was like a sophomore slump. That's just what I'm hopeful for.
yeah,
It
that's what
was
I'm
pretty
hoping for.
disappointing for his production, but it was nice to see Carson Hansen step up in those spots. So I think our running back room is pretty healthy. The wide receivers, very interested to see what they do.
Yeah, I mean, he said that there's been um, Xavier Thompson's been looking good, and Chase Soul has been looking good too. So
Yeah.
those are two names to look out for.
Hmm.
And Chase Soul, because Dad is always very very active in Cyclone Twitter.
Hmm.
Like Cyclone fans have already been endeared to him, and like we
Yep.
haven't even played the game yet, so that's awesome.
Hmm. One thing did you see that Benny Nagoye is switching from wide receiver to defensive back?
Yeah, dude. So funny thing you said that because we did that. I did that show with Hayden from Our Lads, and I told him that's a guy to watch out for in the future.
Hmm.
Because he could possibly be just his comp. I'll say for just for Iowa State player could be um, Darian Porter, since this is the same type of, he's a track guy, very fast, and then also going from receiver to corner, and he's 6'4". So like I think he'll adjust great. Obviously, and then TJ Tampa did it too. TJ Tampa was also a former receiver coming in. So like that us um you know switching people over from receiver to corner has done us wonders the
Hmm.
last few years. So I have a lot of confidence that this will work as well.
Yeah, it's something about Iowa State and putting switching offensive players to defensive players because I just thought
Yeah.
of like Joel Lanning. That's like that was like the start of it for me growing up with like football in the Matt Campbell era. Joel Lanning was like the start, like he was the foundation for like switching a guy from offense to defense and it thriving.
Well, and that's the thing. He went and that was a harder switch too, because he went from quarterback to linebacker. I mean,
Hmm.
I guess like he was a battering ram, but like still, like I guess you're quarterback and then you're quarterback of the defense. So I guess there's some, I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, this is shaping up to be like, and we're hoping like as Iowa State fans that last year was the start of something like great. Obviously, getting that 11-win season, and let's see if we can continue to do so.
Yeah, dude. If we can build on that and possibly get to 9 to 10 wins again, I think like this could really, if we were to pull this off again, and make it to 9, 10, 11 wins again, and able to maybe win a conference championship and get a playoff appearance, I think we're really, really going to be cooking with grease, man. Um,
For sure.
so, but yeah, we're going to look at um, Kansas State, of course, because this is the fourth team that you know that are going to be contenders, and their over under is at 8.5 wins. Let's look at K State's schedule.
Yeah, it sounds like from what I'm hearing, like people are pretty high on Kansas State. I think the big thing for them is they're hoping that Avery Johnson, or like is the quarterback there, yeah, he takes
Yeah,
a step up in his play. So that's
I
a big
think
thing for them.
yeah, that's honestly really the thing with K State is that you gotta hope that Avery takes that next step as a quarterback and a passer. I believe I think they said that their offense is going to be a lot more run heavy,
Hmm.
and like really focusing on what Avery does well. Obviously,
Yep.
he can do that and throw like a really good deep ball. But I think it's just the intermediate passes
Hmm.
that he struggles with.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, like they start off against Iowa State, so um, and then the next three games they have North Dakota at home, Army at home, and then at Arizona. So
Mm.
I mean, this could be like for them. If they beat Iowa State, they could definitely start out 4-0. Although that Army game could be tricky.
Yeah, you never know what it's like when you have to go up against like those military academies. The triple option. It's something about that
Yeah,
that's just you gotta watch for.
definitely, especially
'Cause-
with their large time of possession numbers and limited possessions. They got to make sure that they start off fast and don't let Army get comfortable.
for sure. And then following up Arizona, and the Arizona game is that's a Friday, so that's a Friday game as well. So there are quite a few Friday games for some of these like Big 12 schools.
Mm-hmm.
What's crazy, I think there are two schools that don't have a Friday game. I
Yeah,
think it's what was it, Texas Tech and us.
and us, yeah.
Somehow, some way, we don't have a Friday game, which I'm okay with, honestly.
I'm okay with. I'll take it.
Yep. Imagine me trying to rush like from my class like to football. That would have been nuts.
That would suck. Well, that would suck for me because it'd be like, dang man, we have a Friday game. Dang
Mm-hmm.
on it.
Okay, so after the bye week for Kansas State, they'll host UCF. They'll travel to Waco to take on Baylor. Come back home to host TCU. Another bye week, and then they get the Sunflower State showdown with Kansas at Kansas. Sounds like it's at Kansas Memorial Stadium based on what I'm seeing on their on the K State website.
Yeah, it looks like the memorials, the stadium will be done by that point. So
hmm I think Kansas State is just they're going to continue to just run all over Kansas. Like Kansas has gotten close the last few years, but I just don't think Kansas has not been able to get over the hump when it comes to K State. You talk about Kansas having our number, K State has Kansas's number.
oh yeah, I mean, what this reminds me of is basically that streak that they had against us when
Bill Snyder.
Rhodes and Coach Mack were our coaches, where we were just finding ways to lose to K State.
Yeah, and I mean that was the Bill Snyder. I mean it was mainly Bill Snyder.
Yeah,
But luckily, in Bill Snyder's second run, Matt Campbell came in, and managed to send Bill Snyder the nice retirement gift.
yep, and we've won what 5 out of the last 7 matchups now. So
Mm-hmm. Yep. So following the Sunflower State showdown for Kansas State, they get to host Texas Tech. They're on their third bye week. They got to
hmm
go to Stillwater to take on Oklahoma State. They'll head to Rice Eccles Stadium to take on Utah, and then Senior Day will be against Colorado.
ooh, that's an interesting way to end. Um, yeah, this schedule isn't like it's manageable. Like they also have
Yeah,
two
yeah. Your
bye weeks.
hardest games are pretty spread out from what I'm seeing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to worry about BYU. They don't have to worry about Arizona State. Iowa State's at the beginning of the year, and then Texas Tech's not until like November. Um, Army could be something like to look
Army
out
could be
for.
something, but we'll see. Yeah,
Yeah, but generally speaking, yeah, I think this schedule is very favorable for Kansas State.
definitely. Yeah, I mean we're gonna have to see about Colorado,
Mm-hmm.
and and then Baylor is also another trendy pick that a lot of people are looking at. So we'll do like another because we've done 4 teams, so then there's 16. So we'll do like six today. We'll do Baylor and Colorado, and then we'll just continue to do, and then we'll do like the other. We'll do another six, and then we'll do another four. So we'll just
Yeah.
spread this out. But
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna talk about Baylor, because Baylor went on a crazy run last year. We thought that they were dead in the water after losing to Iowa State, and they
Mm-hmm.
were 2-4, and basically at that point it was like, well, he's gonna be
We're ready to fire Dave Aranda.
ready to fire Dave Renner being him being left on the tarmac, and then they reeled off 6 straight wins to finish 8-4. And then when we found out that Sawyer Robertson was the quarterback that they should have been starting all along, and DeQuan Finn didn't work
Mm-hmm.
out. I Bleav he hit the transfer portal. So yeah,
Yeah, and then you paired him up with who was it? Bryson Washington.
yeah,
Washington, he was good. Like he was a valuable piece
very
on the
very good,
offense. So yeah,
definitely.
it's Baylor. All right, they'll start their regular season off against Auburn. This will be a game in
Ooh,
McLean Stadium, so
yeah,
interesting. Um, they'll follow that up with a game against SMU. This will be in Dallas.
yeah. The playoff participant SMU Mustang. So
hmm
yeah,
Yep, and then they'll follow that up with two straight home games against Sanford and start conference play against Arizona State.
Ooh, and this one could be a tricky one for Arizona State. This would be a great quality win for Baylor to get
Hmm.
after like playing two tough first games. Because oh, I didn't realize that they were hosting Auburn. Oh,
Yeah, they're
yeah,
hosting Auburn.
they're going to the Plains. Okay,
Nope.
interesting.
So yeah, they'll have that. They'll have that slight advantage for the Auburn game. So after Arizona State, they'll be on the road in Stillwater, take on Oklahoma State. Be a rematch of the 2021 Big 12 championship game. I wonder if Oklahoma State still holds that a little personally.
Oh, it does. It hurts their fans to this day.
Hmm. After that, Kansas State will be coming into town.
That could
Then
be
they'll
a
have
sneaky game. That could be an upset. K State could be an upset alert on that week.
Yep. They'll be on bye week, and then they'll hit the road for two home games against TCU and Cincinnati.
Oh, the rivalry. Okay, nice.
Hmm. I still don't like what they call like what they officially call it. It's clearly the rivalry. I
It's
don't
the
know. Like,
rivalry. Yeah.
yeah, I don't care. I don't care what the two student government bodies are saying. It's the rivalry. Like, yeah. After that road trip, they'll host UCF and Utah for a two-game homestand, and they'll have a bye week sandwich in between. So there'll be some nice rest for them before they hit the home stretch.
Yeah.
Their last road game will be against Arizona and Tucson, and then they'll have senior day against Houston.
This is a pretty good schedule. I like how the schedule spreads out for them. I really do think though that these first two games are gonna set the tone of the season. Like if you start off, you're gonna be feeling good if you start off 1-1. But man, if you start off 0-2, things could fall off. The train could fall off the track quick.
Hmm.
At
And
least,
something for that Auburn game, media perception, national perception,
yes,
that would
yes.
be big for a Big 12 team to beat an SEC team,
Yes, I was
just
gonna
for that
say that.
perception
Yeah,
purposes. So that would be
perception
really nice.
purposes.
If
Yeah.
Baylor can start 2-0, they have not only beaten an SEC team, which will boost the Big 12 perception, but also beat SMU, who went to the college football playoff. So that could be a great example for to show that the Big 12 can compete with the big boys.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely two big perception games at the beginning of the year for Baylor. So that's going to be a very fun schedule. At least for a fun first half. Um, I'm trying to think if there's really. I don't think there's really any trap games.
I
Um,
don't think so. Yeah, I haven't really seen anybody that would be perceived as a trap game because
yeah,
I would expect Oklahoma State to be a little better than what they were last year, and then Houston could be better than what they were last year.
yeah. I think Houston will be better than last year.
Hmm.
The only one who probably could be a stumbling block is at Arizona, especially if that game is late. Like those Big 12 after dark games can be
Yep.
rough.
Hmm. All right, so get to our final team.
Yeah, we're gonna look at our final team, which is gonna be the Colorado Buffaloes. Did you dive in something, Cody? Or
Over under 6.5. What was that?
nothing. The screen froze a little bit, so that's why I was asking. I was like, "Did I missed something?" I didn't know if you said something.
Oh no, I see it. No, I see it.
Okay. Yeah, so we have Colorado. I mean, the question for Colorado coming in is what, what is this program gonna look like without Sugar and Travis? Like, I mean, they. I will say that one thing that did help and one thing that didn't improve is the line play for Colorado was a lot better last year. Um, Obviously, still not where it needs to be, but the line play was definitely better.
Yeah.
Obviously, they still can't run the ball, but everything increased. But let's take a look at the schedule. So
Where
I mean,
at Folsom Field, so 2 home games to start out.
yeah, and then they have Houston on a
Follow
Friday.
that
Yeah,
up with a goes to Wyoming
oh
to end non-con.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
a late non-con game.
So nothing really to write home about. I don't really see anything to write home about when it comes to that 4 game stretch. But BYU mentioned earlier, like when we were talking about the Cougars, this game will be very fun to watch. Like a very good early in conference play game to watch, and maybe could help be a jockeying for conference position down the line. This would be a crucial.
Definitely. And then they're at TCU, and then they host Iowa State on October 11th. And this game will enlarge probably for, like you said, for conference positioning. This is going to be a huge game for Iowa State, depending on
Mm,
where Iowa State is in the season, especially if Iowa State's undefeated.
yep. That would be huge. If Iowa State comes in that game undefeated, Colorado, like, they're gonna want to play spoiler. So that's
Oh,
gonna
definitely,
games where I think Iowa State will have to come in with intensity and purpose. Otherwise, Colorado could spoil Iowa State's season.
definitely, yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. After that, yep. Uh, after that game, They'll have a bye week, and then some old Pac-12 matchups I mentioned earlier in the show. November 1st, and then a trip out east to Morgantown. That for Colorado.
Huh?
Traveling across country is never fun.
It's not. I mean, you're going two
Yeah.
time zones, Morgantown.
Something about that West Virginia game. I they can
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm very with West Virginia, and we're going to be talking about them the next show. I'm very interested to see how Rich Rod's first year goes.
Oh god. You better hope it's not. Imagine if it's like 2007
Oh my god.
again, and the reason why West Virginia doesn't the expectations because they
Ah,
all right, then for Colorado, they'll get another bye week, and then this is their last. So their last 2 games are against Arizona State and Kansas State. Arizona State will be Colorado Senior Day, and then obviously Colorado travel to Manhattan to take on the Kansas State Wildcats.
yeah. A whole Big Eight rivalry, Kansas State and Colorado. And I mean, K State won a tight one in Boulder last year, so they're going to be looking for payback in Manhattan against the Wildcats. So I mean, is there any stretch to you that like stands out for Colorado?
Um, it would have to be nothing really. I think their schedule is pretty distributed evenly,
Yeah,
other than maybe Kansas, like the Arizona State Kansas State, or maybe having to deal with BYU and Iowa State in 2 or 3 games. So those 2 smaller stretches, if you will.
I mean, and Colorado's going to get a chance
That's about
to.
all I have on Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, and what I will say to close this out, and then we're gonna take a look at and do our ad read on my bookie. Um, we're let's. I know like Colorado has four big dogs. I'll call them the four big dogs of the new Big 12. You got Iowa State, Kansas State, BYU, and Arizona State. So you have all those teams coming. You have what? One, two. You have three of those teams coming to your place. And I mean, if Colorado can win at least like two of those games and go split 2-2 against the Big Four, man, I know Colorado's going to be feeling good. And Colorado's probably if they win two of those, Colorado is probably going to be in contention for the Big 12 championship like they were this past year.
Yeah, I could see a world where they could go 10-2 or 8-4. It just comes.
Yeah, and like obviously, once we get to like, the summertime and after spring, we're definitely going to be doing more of a deep dive on a lot of these teams, and then obviously we'll do a show on who's actually going to be contenders. Obviously, right now, like it's with spring ball just starting, we really don't know how these rosters are going to turn out. Plus, with the transfer portal that's going to be opening during spring football, we'll have a more accurate like look at these rosters and see how they shape out and see who's really going to be a contender in this Big 12 conference, because obviously it could be anybody, and whoever, I mean, like we saw last year, Arizona State was picked to be the worst team in the league, and they ended up winning the conference. So I mean, that could be, it could be anybody. That's the beauty of this conference. But like, I do think though that this season, Cody, that this could be the start uh of where this year, this upcoming year, of where like you can really start to, the second year of this new Big 12, you can really start to create a top tier of this conference.
Yep.
But before we leave, why don't you tell us about our sponsor, MyBookie?
Yeah. So this podcast is graciously sponsored by MyBook. Although Iowa State's no longer a as a better can still win big here in the Sweet 16, and Elite Eight and beyond. And there are a lot more sports going. But I mean, yeah, great opportunities here in the Sweet 16 to win some money. And if you use the promo code MM50, that will help you sign up. And yeah, so there's still time to make some money here in March Madness. Maybe you can predict.
We are sorry for the technical difficulties, everybody.
Baseball starting up. It's opening day for baseball.
Yeah, um, yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
I apologize for that. But yeah,
No,
opening day
it's
for
all good.
baseball.
Yeah,
hmm
your your
Uh,
Braves,
what
your
are your
Braves.
thoughts on baseball?
Yeah, I wish I had more hope like your team. I wish I would. I sort of wish I was a Braves fan, but I am a fan of the worst team ever in baseball history, and that is my Chicago White Sox. Their over under right now for wins is 53. So we're absolutely a poverty franchise. Thanks to Jerry Reinsdorf. Can't stand you at all. Thanks a lot, Jerry Reinsdorf. You ruined baseball for me. It's a daggone shame, bro.
You know what's funny? It's like I saw a graphic that said like retweet if you're and see with the Chicago Cubs. So hey, you have that White Sox
Yeah,
have, but yeah, the Braves we're looking, and obviously the Dodgers being the Dodgers, so that's going to be a difficult thing to deal with. But I mean, baseball season coming up, you'll have a lot of opportunities to win, and NHL the playoffs are getting close, so start looking to that. Maybe if you want to win some money in hockey, you can use my bookie, and then sign up. Use the code MM50. So that is uppercase MM and the number 50.
Yep, make sure you use that promo code when you sign up, MM50. Once again, it's MM50 at mybookie. So with that, we thank you guys for tuning in to the Bleav in Iowa State podcast. We're sorry for the technical issues today. We're going to get that figured out. Um, so, a few shameless plugs, like as always. Um, Bleav in Iowa State podcast is a top 15 sports podcast in the state of Iowa, nominated by Feed Spot. We're currently in the number 14 spot. So, we thank you guys for all your support. As always, um, if you want to find us on Twitter, Cody can be found on Twitter at Matt Kimball Impersonator. Um, he'll beat you up, of course.
Yeah, I'll
And
be tweeting.
me,
A lot of baseball, and I'll be keeping up with like the transfer portal.
yeah, keep up with him. Transfer portal stuff, um, baseball, all that. Me, I'm gonna show that again. Side tie guy. Um, really for me right now, I'm really tuned out of baseball because my baseball team sucks. So for me, I'm really going to be looking at probably the football transfer portal, the draft, and Florida Gators because my Florida Gators are my second team and they're still in the tournament. So yeah, go Gators. And I believe that's it. Oh, and also, of course, the most important thing, find us on social media. Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. We are under Bleav in Iowa State. How do you spell Bleav? Bleav. Once again, it's Bleav for Bleav. So that is all the time that we have today. So for Tyler Carter,
And for Cody Vancillo,
this is the Bleav in Iowa State podcast. Roll clones, baby.
go State.
Hmm. I'm gonna have to